A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining us on this special program brought to you by Shelter Incorporated. We always do appreciate hearing from you, so please feel free to keep engaging with us on our social media platforms. Today we'll have a very interesting discussion. We'll be looking at healthy ways to process anger, frustration, and depression. Helping me unpack a few more aspects of this discussion is Pastor Makombe. I'm looking forward to his insights and also sharing on some of his knowledge-based applications. Pastor Makombe, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Farai.
Right. It also has been a while since we've caught up in a discussion.
Yes, man. I was longing to say hi.
Yes, indeed.
And,
we may as well start off.
Precious,
Yes.
We can't meet.
I'm glad that you referred to these precious. It speaks to our discussion today, and hopefully we'll be able to unpack a few of them. So maybe we can look at our first area.
Okay.
What are some of the common triggers for anger and frustration? And how do individuals simply identify what causes anger or frustration?
Thank you, Farai. There are so many, but let me zero in on this one here. Anger is caused, or frustration, is caused by demons. Let me put it that way.
Right.
Demons which are in people. One anima demon. Everyone, every one of us, anima demon, but they are controlled.
Right.
You know what I mean? Frustrations are caused more, again, by people who does not know God.
Okay.
You see what I mean? Those are the two scenarios I've given you. Because people, if you don't know God, you're always frustrated with people. For no apparent reason anyway. Yeah.
Right.
So frustrations, you control them yourself. If you don't want to be frustrated, you control it. People can frustrate you,
Right.
but you can control it.
Okay. I love the way you put it when you say ultima demon. It speaks to something that is in you that can cause you to react physically towards something else.
Where I can react, you can't react.
Yes.
She can't react.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right.
So the reason is, why are you frustrated when others are not?
Right. Let's try and link up frustration here. The talk nowadays, Pastor Makombe, is around mental health. A lot of the times we do find that one's mental state is normally attributed to anger and frustration. Are there any links that could be tied to one's mental state?
Let me give an example.
Please.
All of us here,
Sure.
we are not mentally disturbed.
Right.
All of us here. But if you cannot control your anger, then you're mentally disturbed yourself. Is what I mean.
Right.
But there's no point to get frustrated. Whether money or no money, you cannot be frustrated.
Right. Pastor Makombe, there's an interesting school of thought that maybe you could be able to indulge me in here. My understanding has come to believe that the human is made up of three facets.
Yeah.
The mind, which is what others would maybe even call your soul, your spirit, and the body. Right. These three things, they're now operating in unison, or so to speak. Maybe you could give clarity on how that particular knowledge base comes across.
Farai, when God created man, let me start there.
Right.
There was dust and breath. Those two components makes a living person.
Right.
There is no spirit to talk about.
Right.
But people say spirit, no. It's breath.
Right.
That breath is also found from anything that lives upon earth. Mombe, donkey, imbwa, all those clippings, they've got what we call breath of life.
Right. Is that the spirit?
People want to interpret it as spirit.
Sure.
But it's not.
But it's not. It's the breath of life.
It's the breath of life.
Right.
If you and I and everybody here, we have a breath of life. If a person has died, the breath is gone. You get the point? No more breath. You're a dead person.
Right.
Now, what is separated? The breath of life is gone, and the body is there,
Right.
isn't it?
Right.
So, if you want the two to come back, which means you need that breath of life
Right.
to go into the body, is what I mean. And that is only going to happen on the resurrection day.
Understood. Pastor Makombe, maybe you could indulge me then now and give me understanding of where the soul comes into play. My understanding that it is souls that are saved. It is a souls that must be sought after. Maybe you can give me an
Do
appreciation.
you know
of how
the
that
soul
works.
now, the
Yes.
one you are talking about?
Yes, yes.
It is a combination of this body
Right.
and the breath of life
Right.
that makes a living soul.
Understood.
And the Bible says in Jeremiah 17 verse 9, the soul that sinneth shall die. You get my point? Now, let's look at the end of time.
Sure.
When Jesus comes back
It's the
again,
tribulation.
let me put it this way.
Okay.
But I just hold on.
Right.
Now, when Jesus comes back again, he will give us the breath of life.
Right.
We become living souls. And when you are now a living soul, then if you don't know Christ, you'll die. You know that I'm a person, I'm living, but you are now going to hell.
Right.
Those who are righteous are going to heaven. Those are the two groups. So, the people now tend to say, this body is not soul, the soul is something else. No, there's nothing like that. The Bible is very clear. A living soul is a combination of dust, and the breath of life becomes a living person.
Living person.
Or a living soul.
Right. Now, in closing our first segment, this living person goes through the challenges of anger and frustration.
Yes.
And you are saying that when this person is aligned to God,
Yes.
they are less they're not affected directly by anger and frustration. Because these are manifestations that can come up in the form
Correct.
of what you referred to at the beginning of our discussion as matimony.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah. No, Elder Makombe, I think that when we can indulge ourselves in some of these discussions, it allows us to have a more internal perspective to some of the issues that we deal with. We can think that our anger and frustration comes from the external factors, but as you are clearly pointing out, there's more to it. Maybe you could conclude by giving some insight to our audience and our viewers.
Now, anger and frustration is there, but it's up to you to control it.
Yes.
Get the point? Yeah. It's up to you to say, no, I'm not there. You must be able to control yourself and say, no, I'm not going to be part of that. That's what I mean.
Right.
Then you can live.
Yeah.
Imagine me, I'm turning 84 years of age.
Yeah.
You get a point? I've seen it all.
Yeah.
Get a point?
Yeah.
But I'm not frustrated. One, I don't get easily angered.
Yeah.
I don't. Because it's not healthy.
Right.
The moment you enjoy health, there is no anger, there's no depression. Because these two things bring in a lot of diseases, by the way.
Right, yes.
If you're always angry.
We'll talk about those in the second segment. Pastor Makombe, thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to speaking to you further in our discussion.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our discussions. Please, once again, feel free to keep engaging with us on our social media platforms at Shelter Incorporated. Pleasant viewing.